විපක්ෂයේ නායකයෙක් නිකුත් කළ තියෙන එක්ස් පණිවිඩයක සඳහන් වෙනවා මේ ඔබතුමන්ලා කරපු සාකච්ඡා තියෙන දුර්වල මට්ටමක බවත් ඒක නිසා මේ රටේ අපනයන ඩොලර් බිලියන 3ක් අනතුරුදායක තත්වයකට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා. මේකේ සත්‍යතාවයක් තියෙනවද ලේකම්තුමා?
අපි ඒක දිහා බලන්නේ මේක විද්වත් සාකච්ඡාවක් විදිහට තමයි ගෙන ගියේ. ඒකට අවශ්‍ය කරන නිර්ණායකයන්, ඒකට අවශ්‍ය කරන දායකත්වය ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් වලින්ම ලබාගෙන ඍජුවම දේශපාලන පැත්තකින් ගන්නවා වෙනුවට අදාළ ස්ටේක් හෝල්ඩර්ස්ලාගෙන්, කර්මාන්තකරුවන්ගෙන්, ඒකට ඍජුවම දායක වෙලා තියෙන අපනයනකරුවන්ගෙන්, ඒවට අමුද්‍රව්‍ය ඒ රටේ ඉඳලා ආනයනය කරන ආනයනකරුවන් සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන ගිය වැඩසටහනක ප්‍රතිඵලයක් තමයි ඒ සියලු දෙනාගේම බලාපොරොත්තු කැටි කරගෙන ගිය ගමනක ප්‍රතිඵලයක් තමයි මේ අද දැන් අපි මේ සාකච්ඡා කරන යහපත් තත්ත්වය රටක් විදිහට ලබාගෙන තියෙන. අපිට පේනවා එක මුලින් සඳහන් කරේ එකයි ඉන් අයිසොලේෂන් බැලුවොත් වඩා ඒක වඩා කාලෝචිත වෙන්නේ සුදුසු වෙන්නේ මේක රීජනල් කම්පැරිසන් එකත් එක්ක බලලා ඒ තුලින් ලංකාව ලබාගෙන තියෙන මේ යහපත් තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳ ඇගීමක් කරන එක තමයි වඩා සාර්ථක මේ පිළිබඳව බලන ක්‍රමවේදය විදියට අපි දකින්නේ. ඒ තුලින් තමයි ලංකාවේ කම්පිටිටිව්නස් එක ඉදිරියට යනකොට කොහොමද කියන එක තීරණය වෙන්නේ. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඒ නිසා තිබුණු තාප්තවයට සාපේක්ෂව ඉතාමත් යහපත් තත්ත්වයකට මේ වෙනකොට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් කලිනුත් සඳහන් කරා වගේ අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව තවදුරටත් මේ සාකච්ඡාවේ පාර්ශවයන් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා ඉදිරියට ගෙනියලා මීට වඩා සාර්ථක කරගන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක ඉදිරි කාල සීමාව තුලදී.
Mr. Surya Peruma, you mentioned that there will be an impact, obviously, across the boards in Sri Lanka. Can we get a sense of, during these negotiations, Mr. Hulangama also said that they're still ongoing till the end of August, but can you give us a sense or idea of what Sri Lanka has pledged? Or because obviously the US was looking at bringing things to a more sort of an even keel in terms of tariffs and things like that. So what have we agreed to? And are there any other areas that you're still looking further in these negotiations that made the US change the 44% to bring it down to 30%? That's the first question. Another one very quickly is that given the expected impact expected for Sri Lanka and the place we're in recovery with the IMF program and all of that, is there any sort of start of negotiations or approaching the IMF in terms of the program? Because obviously revenue is something that might be affected. So is it too early, or have you already launched that process of sort of consideration or reached out to the IMF regarding possible impact and the program?
Answering to the first part of it is on what we have pledged and perhaps the impact of that one. The impact we have to look at from the wider global impact that has been created through this arrangement. As I said, it is not targeting Sri Lanka. This is a global situation. As Governor mentioned earlier, the international organizations have predicted this will have an impact, and the impact on the growth of the global economy also. So the spillover effect of that one, it will be Sri Lanka also have to go through that spillover impact to Sri Lanka. And our view is, even though from the global angle there is a certain slowdown that has been predicted, as a country, Sri Lanka is coming up compared to where we were as a nation. So a lot of hope and expectation based on the arrangements we are putting in place to simplify the existing complex legal framework sometimes we have, by introducing digitization into many of the processes through which corruption is expected to be reduced going forward. Through that, we expect the cost of doing business in Sri Lanka to be reduced over a period of time. Of some of the areas, we are already seeing benefits on those areas. Through that, we are expecting to reduce the cost of doing business in Sri Lanka. So these are positives as far as Sri Lanka is concerned. We consider the position Sri Lanka is to play in the region. Many investors will be interested to come into Sri Lanka. Compared to the economic trajectory where we were and the stability, economic stability that we have created as of now, policy consistency that we have indicated, and the policy reforms that we are continuing in terms of what are the best pieces of legislation, simplified approaches to do business better and in a convenient manner. We believe the investments will come into Sri Lanka both FDI as well as Sri Lankan investors will invest more. As a result, it will have a positive impact into the economy. Obviously, due to global slowdown, there will be some repercussions as well. You requested the second part of relating to the impact on whether we have taken stock on the IMF side of it. Governor, may I kindly request your input?
I think it's too early for us to. We had this discussion when IMF mission was here in early April. During the period they were actually here. At the beginning, there are a lot of concerns whether there will be a significant impact if 44% tariff was imposed. Obviously, we discussed certain options, alternative that we can take on, but because of the uncertainty and also later postpone of this thing, we basically worked on the basis this will continue for some time. So then until that time, we have made the assumption status quo will remain. As a result, we discussed the overall macro outlook and the assistant access on that basis. But if situation is going to be changed in any direction, obviously we will have option to discuss with the IMF what are the other options. If there's any additional financial assistance or program modalities review, that is an open option. It's like every review is an opportunity for us to negotiate based on the circumstances that we foresee in the next 6 months. So that option is open, but so far, in our negotiation, we are not taken into any adverse impact as a result of this, because this was a temporary situation. We wait, and it's too early, as you said earlier. And on the first question, I must say, there's nothing has been agreed or pledged so far. It's a process of negotiation where we offer what we can offer, and they offer what they can offer, and they ask, these are the regulations, you need to relax. We say whether we agree or not. This is a process of discussion taking place already still, and ultimately in the end we can come to agreement. So this are we can agree, this we can agree, and we all can come to a kind of a sort of a solution. Then only there will be an agreement.
Can I just clarify? So in terms of for President Trump to put down that figure from 44% to 30% in a letter, surely there has to be some kind of, even not, if not concrete agreement. As you said, it's still negotiation. But what have we put forward as our offer to enable or to convince the US to bring down the 44% to 30%? In terms of
yes, I think in my view, it's not necessarily. I don't think President Trump would have looked at what exactly on the table. It is the confirmation, recognition of we have engaged in good faith negotiation and with an intention to bring benefits to both countries. So that is the bottom line of the negotiations. Once we establish that we are engaged in good faith negotiation with a positive outcome for both countries, that has been recognized. That is, I think, the reason that they have brought down to 40%, 30%.
But is there any concrete areas that you can tell us this is what we have put forward from our side in order to
the whole idea is to reduce the increase more trade between two and have more market access for US and us. So what we are looking at is that what are the products that we can import more from the US, what are the products that we can export more to the US. On that basis, we have looked at in the consultation with the industry, we have looked at the various sectors, and we have in the discussion of whether there's a possibility of opening up the market for those products for both sides. That is what that's going on, because we have intention to reduce the trade deficit and have a good fair negotiation and intention in the right direction. That this is a recognition of that effort. This is why, if you can see, some countries actually they have increased residual tariff. So some countries they have reduced it. For us, they have reduced it highest margin. For us,
Governor, I think what Vinil's question, you mentioned that Sri Lanka offers what it can offer. So what we're trying to figure out is there any reduction in the tariffs for some of the US products that Sri Lanka imports?
Let me
obviously, yeah.
Let me chip in as well.
Yes.
So obviously the intention is this entire process from the US side, the expectation is to reduce some of the tariffs applicable in one angle. When it comes to tariff, para-tariff also. And to very important component is simplify the process that is available. Reduce the time taken to implement and process some of those engagements or clearance at the board agencies will be much faster. So it is not just focused on just one item related to tariff per se. It is much broader to make sure our openness in the way how we do things here, simplify, removal of barriers that we have. So it's a much broader discussion instead of just focusing only on tariff items. Just adding into the previous one relating to whether we have gone into IMF, etc., for further details. Currently, we have a very good understanding in terms of openness and the level of engagement that we have created with the multilateral agencies, World Bank, ADB, IMF, and many other agencies, donor agencies, funding agencies. So our openness in the approach and swiftness in response and being honest in the process has allowed us to advance the relationships that we have had with these agencies instead of having a different agenda through promoting openness and being prompt and responsive to the engagements. I think we have achieved a lot. I'm sure there are more benefits and more engagements. So we are expecting input from all those agencies as well as we move forward to strengthen the situation, to obtain the necessary support wherever that is necessary. Thank you.
මේ අවසාන ප්‍රශ්න විදියට මේ අපේ සජීවී විකාශනය යද්දී මේ බොහෝ දෙනෙක් අපෙන් අහලා තියෙන කාරණාවක් තමයි මේ තව තැන් දෙක තුනක වාර්තා කරලා තිබ්බා දැනට තියෙන බදු ප්‍රමාණයට මේ 130ක් එකතු වීමක් වෙන්නේ කියලා. එහෙමද වෙන්නේ? එහෙම නැත්නම් 130 විතරද බදු අපිට මේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ?
එකතු වීම මම ඉස්සර පැහැදිලි කරා ඉංග්‍රීසියේ එකතු වීමක් තියෙන. දැන් තියෙන බදු වලට 130ක් අහු වෙනවා. හැම අපේ රටට විතර නෙමෙයි. ඕක රටටම
130ට එකතු වීමක් තමයි වෙන්නේ නේද?
මම ඒක පැහැදිලි කරනවා නැවත වතාවක්. ලංකාවට විතරක් තියෙන තත්වයක් නෙමෙයි මේක. අපි ග්ලෝබලි මේක බලන්න ඕන. රීජන් එකේ තියෙන රටවල් වලටත් ඔය එකතු වීම හැමම වෙනවා. ඒ එකතු වුණාට පස්සේ අන්න එතකොට ලංකාවෙන් යන භාණ්ඩ, ඉන්දියාවෙන් යන භාණ්ඩ, බංග්ලාදේශයෙන් යන භාණ්ඩ, වියට්නාමෙන් යන භාණ්ඩ වලටත් ඒ එකතු වීම වෙනවනේ. පැහැදිලි නේද? ඒ එකතු වීමට පස්සේ ඒ එන මිලට අනුව ලෝකයේ ලංකාවට තිබුණු තරඟකාරී තත්වය තවදුරටත් ඉදිරියට පවත්වා ගැනීම තමයි අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව තිබුණේ. ඒ තියෙන සංඛ්‍යාදත්තයන් බලනකොට පේනවා අපිට ලැබුණු මේ අඩුවීම කලාපයේ තියෙන මේ වගේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රීස් වලට තියෙන ලැබෑ තියෙන ටැරිෆ් වලට සාපේක්ෂව යහපත් මට්ටමක් කියලා අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව තමයි ඉදිරියටත් මේ සාකච්ඡාව ගෙනියලා ඒ වාතාවරණය ලංකාවට තිබුණු ජාත්‍යන්තරයේ තිබුණු තරඟකාරීත්වය තරඟකාරී තත්ත්වය ආරක්ෂා කරගෙන ඉදිරියට යාම තමයි ඒ තුලින් බලාපොරොත්තුව.